Regularly scheduled meeting of the Beloit City Council. It is now 7:02, and here we are at 100 State Street, Beloit, Wisconsin, on Monday, September 16th, 2013. Roll call.
Roll call shows all councilors present.
All right, then. Let's. The second item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, Special Orders of Day and Announcements, 3A.
A proclamation of appreciation honoring Police Chief Norm Jacobs as the longest-serving police officer in departmental history.
Mr. Vice President.
Whereas Police Chief Norman Jacobs was hired on April 11, 1978, and recently passed the length of service milestone as being the longest-serving police officer in the history, 1857 to present, of the Beloit Police Department, and whereas Chief Jacobs has dedicated his entire professional career, spanning 35 years, to the City of Beloit Police Department, appointed to and serving in the following capacities: Patrol Officer on April 11, 1978, Sergeant on December 14, 1988, Captain on April 29, 1999, Deputy Chief on March 26, 2001, and Police Chief on December 18, 2009. And whereas his leadership and vision includes maintaining Beloit Police Department's national certification through the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies, CALEA, as well as the state accreditation. And whereas during his tenure, the Beloit Police Department has received special recognition and won numerous awards, including the most recent 2010 Wisconsin SWAT Team of the Year, 2011 Risk Management Focus Award, 2012 Wisconsin Narcotics Officers Association Investigation of the Year, 2012 Illinois Metropolitan Enforcement Group Award, and a 2013 nomination for an Organized Drug Enforcement Task Force Award. And whereas Chief Jacobs deserves recognition for both the length of his service as well as the contributions he has made to the community. Now, therefore, the Council President of the City of Beloit does hereby acknowledge Chief Jacobs' dedication, commitment, and vision, and wishes to acknowledge the Chief's recent length of service milestone as the longest continuous service in the history of the Beloit Police Department. Presented this 16th day of December, 2013. Congratulations.
Thank you very much for this recognition. I'll call it the Cal Ripken Award, because I appreciate longevity. I'm glad that you do, and on behalf of people in the city who've worked 20 years or more, we're all certainly grateful. I'd like to recognize a couple people here that helped make this possible. From the Police and Fire Commission, Charlie Lazinski and Marty Dench are here. And from the Home Commission, my wife Nancy Jacobs is here, who's been here all during this. So once again, thank you very much and appreciate this award.
Section item number 4 is public hearings. We have 3 today, A and B, and will be coupled. We'll have the separate public hearings, but we will have only one staff report for those public hearings. And so item 4A.
A proposed ordinance amending the City of Beloit Comprehensive Plan to change the future land use designation for the property located at 1566 Forest Avenue from single-family residential urban to institutional and community service. This is for Gaston School. The Plan Commission recommended approval 4-0.
Mrs. Christensen.
Gaston School ended up doing a larger addition than they had originally planned, and as a result, they needed to buy additional land. So they purchased one more house, which is located at 1556 Forest Avenue. This is the last piece to the Gaston School campus. This did require a change in both the comp plan and the zoning ordinance. The comp plan currently shows the future land use map as single-family residential urban, and the zoning is R1B single-family residential district. The request is to change the future land use map designation for this property to institutional and community services, and the zoning to PLI, Public Lands and Institutions District. So the piece that's left is the piece furthest to the west on Forest Avenue, and the plan is to use this as green space.
Thank you.
And Plan Commission did recommend approval.
I'd like to open the public hearing on item 4A. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak on item 4A, please approach the podium and state your name and address. Second call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4A. Third and final call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4A. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on item 4A. And this is up for suspending the rules. Do I have a motion?
Motion to suspend. Second.
Moved by Lukey, second by Van de Bogart. Do we have any questions on suspending the rules? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We've suspended the rules by a vote of 7-0.
Move on the merits, Mr. President. Second.
Moved by Van de Bogart, second by Lukey. Do we have any additional comments or questions by councilors? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. I'd like to open the public hearing on item 4B. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak on item 4B, please approach the podium and state your name and address. Second call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4B. Third and final call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4B. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on item 4B, and this is also up for suspending the rules.
Move to suspend the rules.
Moved by Spreitzer,
Second.
second by Levy. Any questions or comments of suspending the rules on item 4B? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We've suspended the rules by a vote of 7-0. Do we have any motion on the merits?
I'll move on the merits, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by DeForest, second by Levy. Any questions or comments on the merits? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We've passed 4B by a vote of 7-0. Item 4C.
A resolution authorizing a conditional use permit to allow a pickup window in a C3 Community Commercial District for the property located at 204 Park Avenue for Domino's Pizza. The Plan Commission recommended approval, 5-0.
Madam Director.
The Domino's restaurant is proposing to occupy the former Kentucky Fried Chicken building. Their proposed restaurant will include a pickup window. It is not intended to be, one where you drive up and order, but one where you would come and just pick up what you've ordered ahead of time. The minimum stacking spaces needed for this pickup window is 3, which is being provided. The parking requirements for this type of development is 25 off-street parking stalls. The site currently includes 46 off-street parking stalls, 1 which is handicapped accessible. A minimum of 2 handicapped accessible spots are required. We did send this out to our review agents, and the only concern was raised by Water Resources, just letting them know that an exterior grease trap will be needed to be utilized for this property, which I did talk to the operators of Domino's, and they had planned to use. They said there is an exterior grease trap there, and they had intended to use it. Plan Commission did recommend approval, subject to the conditions which are listed in your resolution, which is that this conditional use permit authorizes the pickup window, which will be established in the existing structure at the subject property. Any existing order box structure shall be removed from the exterior of the building. The applicant shall work with planning staff to bring landscaping up to code or as close to code as possible given the existing site layout. Remulching, tree and shrubbery trimming, and general landscape cleanup is required by June 1st, 2014. The applicant shall maintain a minimum of 3 stacking spaces for the pickup window. The applicant shall seal coat and stripe the lot prior to opening the business. 1 additional handicapped accessible parking spot is required. This new parking spot or the existing spot must be van accessible. And the standard condition of any major changes coming back through this public process and minor changes being able to be approved administratively. And Plan Commission did recommend approval.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing on item 4C. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak on item 4C, please approach the podium and state your name and address. Second call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4C. Third and final call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4C. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on item 4C and entertain a motion.
Motion to suspend rules.
There's no suspension, this is on the merits.
Motion to accept the merits.
Second.
Moved by Lupke, second by Spreitzer. Any questions or comments? Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. Ms. Christensen, I'm wondering if there needs to be included in the resolution an explicit reference to the usage of the exterior grease trap, or do you feel it's not necessary?
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
I think that Harry has the necessary tools to require that anyway.
Okay.
I think he was just bringing it to their attention.
All right, so he will check on compliance with that?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Next item is the consent or citizens' participation. We've reached the point on the agenda for citizens to speak to the council about items that are coming before us or may come before us in the future. Council members may not act on any request at this meeting, but may refer the speaker to staff for assistance. We ask that you hold your comments to less than 3 minutes and refrain from personal attacks of any kind. I have no sheets indicating that anybody wishes to speak, but if anyone does wish to come forward under citizens' participation, please do so at this time. Please approach the podium and state your name and address.
Gary Fields, 13826 Sundance Trail, and I'm here as a land property owner, well actually as a landlord, as well as a BPMA member, and I want to thank the council for working through the summit, to working through some issues that we had, some concerns. We were able to work through those, and they'll be coming up for the second vote tonight, and thank you to Julie and her staff for working with us and being able to come to resolution on these items. We do appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to come forward and speak on under citizens' participation? Second call for persons to come forward and speak on under citizens' participation. Third and final call for persons to come forward and speak on under citizens' participation. Hearing none, I'll close citizens' participation and we'll move on to the consent agenda, item 6. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to request that items 6D as in dog, G, and H be removed from the consent agenda, please.
All right then. Do we have any other councilors wishing to remove something from the consent agenda? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Moved by Kincaid, second by Spreitzer. The consent agenda will consist of items 6A through C, 6E, and 6F. All in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. So item 6D.
A resolution approving the change of agent for HRNS 5 Entertainment DBA Addiction located at 1310 Cranston Road from Jaime Hernandez to Brenda Flores. The Alcohol Beverage License Control Committee reviewed the request to change the agent for Addiction at 1310 Cranston Road from Jaime Hernandez to Brenda Flores. Members of the ABLCC and staff asked the proposed agent questions regarding statutory responsibilities of an agent, including purchasing of alcohol and record keeping. And the ABLCC members were not satisfied with the proposed agent's responses. A motion was made to recommend approval of the change of agent to the City Council. However, the motion failed due to a lack of a second by another member. No action was taken, and the ABLCC did not make a recommendation to Council regarding this request. Are there any questions?
Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. Was there any discussion about denying the request, or just was not a second for the motion to approve it?
There was no second on the motion to approve. Deputy City Attorney Elizabeth Krieger was present at the meeting, and she can answer that.
Thank you.
Good evening. There wasn't much discussion other than the questions and answers that went back and forth with the proposed agent. The chairman made a motion and there was not a second, so there wasn't a discussion to deny.
Okay, can I ask some more about the questions that were asked to ascertain if the agent understood their responsibility? From your recollection of the responses, did that agent have a clear sense of what they were responsible for doing as an agent?
No. You're well aware of the problems at Club Addiction, in particular the unauthorized purchase of alcohol. She had no knowledge of the recent troubles. She did understand there were some underage alcohol issues in the further past, but was unable to satisfactorily answer any question related to the current troubles.
Okay, and can I ask, is it your perception that there's a language barrier issue at all?
Not at all.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Counselor Spitzer.
Can I ask a procedural question? Are we to make an affirmative motion and then vote yes or no on that, or would we need to make a motion to deny if we don't want to approve this agent?
You could make an affirmative motion and then it would fail. I mean, it could fail or be passed.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor DeForest.
So if I could just ask for clarity on my colleague's procedural question, I'm assuming then that we would take this resolution as it is written, and this is written to affirm that we approve this change of agent.
Mm-hmm.
So if we vote against it, that would subsequently indicate our disapproval of this agent.
On the other hand, we could also opt to lay it over until we were, so that they could potentially take corrective action and educate the agent and go back through the.
I'll make a motion to approve 6B.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Councilor Levy.
I'll second that motion, and then just to, it's not so much a question but a comment. Mr. President, you said lay it over. I'm not in favor of laying this over, because I think when they come to the Alcohol Commission, that you need to have all your ducks in a row. You know why you're coming there. You know the purpose. Mm-hmm. You need to make sure that you understand the questions that's going to be asked you. I think if we was to move forward or even lay this over, we're playing into the hands of the individuals that want this. I think when they're coming to us, as Councilor DeForest often says, this is not a right, it's a privilege. So I think when people come to the commission or the committee, and I sit on that committee. I wasn't at this meeting, but I get tired of people coming in with excuses as to we don't know the entire law, but we want to have the license, and I get tired of that. And I think we need to set it here. If you don't come to that committee prepared with all your ducks in a row, this was what will happen.
For clarity, I wasn't proposing that we do anything.
I know. I just wanted to put it out there just in case anybody else wanted to go down that road.
Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. I agree with you, Councilor Levy, especially considering some of the grave concerns of how the responsibilities of the alcohol license were handled by this business in the past. I would not want to lay this over any longer or belabor this. It was concerning that they weren't prepared for this given the recent problems that they had there.
Councilor Spitzer.
I agree. I think it was clear that the lack of a second indicates that there was presumably would have been support for denying this had that vote been taken, and I can't think of a time that we've been more lenient than the ABLCC, so I think we should go with their recommendation, which seems to be to deny.
I'm firmly in agreement with you. Okay. Councilor Kincaid.
Can the petitioner reapply? They have to wait a period of time?
They can reappoint another agent. That won't take effect. I mean, they would come for you to referral to the next Alcohol Beverage License Control Committee meeting, so that would be in January. The particular applicant for agent would not be able to apply for a year.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, we have a motion to approve and a second for that motion. Any other questions or comments before I call the matter? All in favor of approval, say aye. All opposed? Nay. Item fails by a vote of 0 to 7. Item 6G.
A resolution approving a service agreement between the City of Beloit and Lifeline Billing Systems, LLC.
Chief.
Good evening. The resolution before you this evening is regarding fire billing contract. Currently, the City of Beloit bills for responses to hazardous materials, car accidents, extrications, specialty responses like technical rescue. And we conduct that billing through our risk management and general services administrator. We'd like to try to increase the amount of revenue we collect through that program by enlisting the help of a billing service. We went through a bid qualification development process and then put the contract out to bid. We had 3 bidders. The first bidder, the successful bidder was Lifeline Billing Systems. They were qualified and met all of our requirements in the RFQ and charging fees of 5.9% to the city of collected revenue only. We also had a second bidder, Fire Recovery USA. They were qualified, they met our requirements, and had a fee of 20% of collected revenue. So our third bidder was not qualified and did not meet the bid requirements. So I'd like to recommend this evening that contract that's presented you to authorize the city manager to enter into agreement with them, providing that you approve the contract tonight.
Do we have a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Moved by Lubke, second by Levy. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. I wanted to ask if the RFQ included an expected recovery rate, even though I see in the bid outline that's in our staff summary that Lifeline Billing would skim less off the top for their fee. Do we have a sense of what their recovery rate projection was? Was it different or similar to the second bidder's expectation?
It was actually higher than the second bidder's expectation.
Okay.
They were projecting over $100,000 of revenue. The second bidder only projected around $50,000 of revenue.
And did that seem feasible based on past experience?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Spreitzer.
Do you have any sense of what accounted for the big difference in fees, especially with the difference in expected recovery? Is there a difference in how they go about the service?
Both companies are very experienced in fees and collecting for ambulance services and for fire rescue services. I would suspect it's their knowledge of Wisconsin law. They're headquartered here in Wisconsin. The other company is headquartered in California. They may not have as much knowledge of what we have going on in Wisconsin. So,
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and a second, so let's on to the merits. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Item 6H.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
A resolution approving a site access agreement with the City of South Beloit, Illinois.
Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. President. The land in question was acquired by the city along with the bulk of the parcel in Wisconsin. This is somewhat of a remnant piece that's over the state line in Illinois. We have had discussions with South Beloit for some time indicating we'd be happy to deed the property to them, that we're not interested in owning real estate outside of our jurisdiction, much less the state of Wisconsin. According to some correspondence I've received from the city attorney down there, they're attempting to qualify for some U.S. EPA funds that would give them grant money to redevelop the site as a proposed urban ecology center. The site access agreement is a precondition to qualifying for those funds, and so they've asked us to enter into it. It does have the fairly standard remediation to prior condition, indemnity should they, cause any problems by virtue of their on-site work during the Phase 2 study. And it would be my recommendation that council look favorably upon this. And any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer.
Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. You've answered part of my question. When I first read through the packet and saw that this resolution is providing access but not flat-out deed, and you explained that it's because that could hamper their ability to apply for this U.S. CPA funds. Is that correct?
Some discussions I've had with the city attorney down there, if they were to take title before doing this study, they would not qualify for the the possible grant funds.
Okay.
There's also apparently separate grant funds, but I think at the state level, the state of Illinois level, should anything be discovered, we're generally of the notion that that's unlikely given the studies and work that's been done, around the site and elsewhere in that neck of the woods.
Thank you. And then a question related to that. I'm really pleased that we're involved in this collaboration with South Beloit and they're interested in developing this as park space. I just want to make sure I'm protecting the city's interests, though. I mean, is there a chance that through this environmental assessment we find out that this is a brownfield site, that then that's going to require us to act on a certain timeline to remediate it? Is that incurring liability for us?
That gets pretty speculative. What you don't know can sometimes hurt you more than what you do know. We've been very successful north of the state line over there with, getting either Alliant or DNR to fund any necessary remediation. And from what I understand, I think the same would hold true in the area south of the border.
So the fact that if there is a discovery that this is contaminated in some way, that wouldn't preclude our ability to access Wisconsin resources.
I don't know that we could apply for state of Wisconsin, DNR, or other funds for use outside of the state. I do think the city of South Beloit could and likely would, given the possibility of the redevelopment of this as that urban ecology center, which I think is part of their long-term plan for the larger area near the confluence.
And sorry, one last question, and maybe this is more appropriate for the city manager. Is it our long-term intention to deed this land at some point once South Beloit is successful in securing the resources they need to develop it as park space?
Yes.
Yes, we spoke to South Beloit prior to bringing the transaction to council, and they agreed to take the portion that's in the state of Illinois. We've done similar joint projects before along the state line, so this was nothing new. After we proceeded with the acquisition, South Beloit decided they were going to spend some extra due diligence and validate the environmental condition because they had found this grant program. They wanted to be sure there was nothing wrong with the site, and if they do find something wrong, they believe they can qualify for a grant to remediate it. So that's what this is all about. Hopefully, this will come back clean or substantially clean, and then we can move to closing. And then they'll have the land in Illinois, we'll have the piece in Beloit, similar to what we did with the State Line Prairie piece a few years ago. And then we're envisioning them working with Beloit 2020, with the city of Beloit on the Urban Ecology Center, and seeing that whole area, what we used to refer to as the Confluence Park area, that would be developed into a kind of a park site with the Urban Ecology Center being the key facility down there. So that's what's being planned at this time.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Motion for approval. Moved by Lubke.
I'll second.
Second by DeForest. Any other questions or comments on this? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor of approving 6H, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. We'll move on to item 7, ordinances, 7A.
A proposed ordinance to create section 7.065, 14.06 sub 6 sub BG to amend sections 7.12, 7.24 sub 9 sub I 2A, 7.29 sub 3 sub C, 7.29 sub 3 sub D, and to repeal and recreate section 7.28 sub 1 of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit pertaining to the Property Maintenance Code and the Residential Rental Dwelling Permit Program.
Madam Director.
As Gary Fields had indicated, some of the council members had a summit with the Beloit Property Managers Association, and following that summit, Terry Downing and I met with them to discuss specifically what issues they had with the Property Maintenance Code. And following that meeting, Terry and Beth Krieger worked together to develop this ordinance. And essentially, it's really minor changes, but I think it will make it a better ordinance for both the inspectors, the city, and the Beloit Property Managers Association, because it really clears up some issues, and I think it will help us all have better housing units. And you did have the first reading at your last meeting, and it's on your agenda for action tonight.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve item 7A?
The approval?
Second.
Moved by DeForest, second by Levy. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. I would just like to share that the personal contact that I've had with several property managers in the city have been very supportive of these changes, and just want to commend our staff for working so closely with the Landlord Association to make these changes. I'm really pleased with the collaboration that took place. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I'll call the matter on item 7A. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. On to item 7B.
Proposed ordinance to amend Part J of Section 3 of the Index of Special Locations, Section 13.02 of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit relating to parking of vehicles on the near side of highways adjacent to schoolhouses. This is for Gaston School.
Mr. Boyson.
This ordinance modifies parking regulations adjacent to the Gaston School site. These modifications are in accordance with requests of the School District of Beloit to accomplish changes that accommodate the new layout of the school site. The Traffic Review Committee reviewed the request during their November 25th, 2013 meeting and approved the recommended changes by a vote of 6-0. The Engineering Division recommends making the necessary changes to Section 1302 of the Code of General Ordinances to accomplish the removal of the on-street parking adjacent to the site in accordance with the school district request and the Traffic Committee's recommendation.
Thank you. This item is up for suspension of the rules. Do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Spreitzer, second by Levy. Do we have any questions about suspending the rules? Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. Before we vote to suspend the rules, I just wanted to double check. Did we hear any concerns from residents in that area about removing parking privileges in that area?
I've not heard of any report of any concern that's been expressed during the Traffic Committee meetings or even subsequently.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Kincaid.
Can you tell us how many parking spaces will be omitted?
Let's see, the parking space will be about 18 feet. So, I'd actually have to compute it slightly. It appears that it would be a total of I don't have the dimension to the street there, but it does appear to be 18 or 19 spaces approximately. And of course, some of these spaces are accommodating the actual driveways that are being constructed for the drop-offs and parking lots. So, of course, some of the space is physically access lane today. And, of course, then it accommodates the drop-off system that the school district has identified for the site.
So this would be a 24-hour no parking, not just during the day?
It is set up in that way, yes.
I guess the question is, if it's a question of the school having appropriate access, that certainly is important, primary importance. If the spaces are needed for overnight parking, would that be a problem with the school operations?
I don't recall that being a topic of discussion. I'm sure they have some school evening activities, but is Beth here now? No. I think that might be a possibility if that was a concern. We could certainly see if any concerns
I have
are,
no knowledge either. It just occurs to me that for the neighbors, that might be
Was that,
some importance.
excuse me, was that a fire access issue, Chief? Because these zones are to open up the access in front of the schools, not just for access by parents and students, but they also create access for the fire department if you have to get up to the property. Was that a consideration in expanding this access zone in front of Gaston School?
I don't recall the plan review. My plan reviewer, Inspector Gary Shank would have done that with Julie and the planning department. Most likely that is a correct assumption that depending on how the school is set back, our access needs to be within 150 feet from the roadway. And then we also have to have at least 50% access to all sides of the building. So if the building is 100 by 100 by 100, then we have to have at least 200 feet of access on two sides.
Because I believe the schedule is set up in a similar manner for all of the all the school buildings in the city to be sure there is 24-hour access.
If there's parking on the near side of the school, it certainly would hinder any firefighting operations. When we came up on the scene, with all that traffic, that parking on that side, trying to run hose lines between cars, things like that, certainly is definitely a problem for us.
Okay.
So there's about 400 feet being taken back for parking. So how many feet does the fire department need for access?
I would have to look at the site plan. I gave you a off-the-cuff example.
Okay.
But we need to have access to 50% of the building, is what the statute says.
Yeah.
Which one are they?
In this case, the bus line will remain on McKinley Avenue.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, is there any reason you couldn't do a first reading tonight?
Right, I think
if there's concerns about this, I don't think we would want to do timed parking in front of the schools, but the issue is how long does the zone need to be? If you think we're encroaching on too much parking, why don't we do a first reading tonight, get that together, and update your staff report for the next. That's 3 weeks out.
Are you speaking about the West Grand? Does this ordinance amend the West Grand side of the parking? Is that what we're talking about?
It does amend portions of 3 streets, so it is, other than McKinley, it modifies the other 3 as all having some degree of expansion of restriction.
I don't think that Councilor Kincaid's. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this, but I don't think his questions are rising to the level of saying no if he doesn't get an answer tonight. We could always revisit the issue later. I would like to go ahead and. What's that?
I think we should revisit it. Yeah.
Sure.
I don't. It shouldn't be a problem, but we just need to have a little more information.
Okay.
I don't think we want to use time parking. The issue is, do you need 470 feet?
Right.
That's what's added in there on West Grand Avenue. There's 470 feet. Now, so far, we've not heard any complaints from any of the residents. From what I understand, there hasn't been any concern, but they've been I assume they were notified that this was coming for traffic
In the West
review.
Grand, it'll be 470, but it already is a total of 316, so it's just the difference in those two dimensions on West Grand.
You're just adding enough for the addition, so you're not creating a new 470. You've already got 316 there. You're simply adding 150 feet, give or take, 140 feet to that.
Yes.
Okay. Does that satisfy everyone?
Okay. Councilor Van de Bogart.
Well, I was going to say we got a motion and a second to suspend the rules. Why don't we just vote on that and then see
Okay.
where we go?
Let's go ahead and I got a couple other people who want to get their 2 cents worth in, and then we will do that. Councilor DeFore or Spitzer, you're the next.
I was just going to say it looks to me, and correct me if I'm wrong in my understanding, that essentially what we're doing is before we had no parking on the various sides of the school in front of the school's footprint, and the school's footprint has expanded, and we're basically expanding it to extend to the new footprint, at least looking at the map and not exactly seeing where the different feet end. That was my assumption of what we were doing. So if that's what we're doing, that seems to make sense, but I have absolutely no problem laying this over so we can get a map that perhaps more clearly identifies what exactly we're voting on.
Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. And just one more point of information for the next meeting. Typically in our packets, there's included a list of those individuals that are noticed, and we're assuming that nearby residents were noticed. I just want to make sure that we receive that information next time. Would be great. Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion second for suspension of the rules. Suspending the rules does require at least a 5-vote majority. Let's go ahead and call the matter. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye. Any opposed? Nay. Okay, we will lay this over. Do we need a separate vote to lay it over? Okay. Do we have a
Motion and a vote to lay it over.
Moved by Levy, second by Lupke. All in favor of laying this over, say aye. Aye. We've laid the item over till the next meeting. And then item 7C.
A proposed ordinance establishing no parking regulations on Bushnell Street.
This regulation would expand the no parking for the bus zone at a location that includes, that has been troublesome for the transit district. They've been looking at this for about a year and have had no success in coming up with just discussions with individual people who have been parking in the area. There's handicapped people that need to have good access to the bus, and this would is the recommendation then of engineering and the transit division and the traffic committee to address the issues that have existed.
All right, we have this one's been called for a suspension of the rules. Do we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules on this one?
Second.
Moved by Kincaid, second by Lubke. Do we have any questions or comments on suspending the rules on this matter? I'll call the matter. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Suspended the rules by a vote of 7-0. And what about the merits?
Motion.
Moved by Lubke, second by Van de Bogart. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We've passed the matter by a vote of 7-0. All right, item 8 is appointments, and we do have a limited number of appointments. I, the undersigned Charles M. Haynes, duly elected President of the Beloit City Council, subject to the confirmation of the Beloit City Council, does hereby appoint following citizen members to vacancies and terms indicated below. Said appointments being pursuant to nominations made and approved by the Appointment Review Committee at the regular meeting held on December 9th, 2013. Those appointments are Appointment Review Committee, incumbent Merlin Knetzer for a term ending December 31st, 2016. Incumbent Kurt Reynolds for a term ending December 31st, 2016. And for the Board of Review, Vincent Borgonini, sorry about massacring that, alternate to move to a regular term, replacing Ron Anderson for a term ending December 31st, 2018. Do I have a motion? Does any councilor wish to discuss any of these individually or vote on them individually?
Move approval of the appointments, Mr. President. Second.
As a set, okay. All right then, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We have approved the appointments by a vote of 7-0. I'd like to announce the following vacancies. Appointment Review Committee has 2 vacancies for residents. Board of Appeals has 2 vacancy alternate for residents. Board of Ethics has 1 vacancy for former city councilor, 4 vacancies for residents. Board of Review has 2 vacancy alternate for residents. Community Development Authority has 2 vacancies for residents. Equal Opportunity Commission, 1 vacancy for resident. Municipal Golf Committee has 1 vacancy for youth, 1 vacancy for resident. Parks and Recreation Conservation Advisory Commission has 1 vacancy for resident. Plan Commission has 1 vacancy for resident. And Traffic Review Committee has 2 vacancies for residents. If you have any interest in serving your city in one of these important roles, please contact the clerk or as soon as possible. All right. Item 9 is councilors' activities and upcoming events. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thoroughly enjoyed Holidazzle. Fantastic turnout. So great to see the community just fill up the downtown. I, in advance, want to thank Monica and her staff for the excellent work they do promoting tourism and helping to add to the vitality of downtown Beloit. So thrilled with Shauna's work as well and the entire DBA. Beloit just really sparkles downtown now. So just want to thank everyone who worked so hard to make that happen. I do want to send my condolences out to the family of Del Jerpy. He was a wonderful community leader and most recently worked very closely with the Greater Beloit Economic Development Corp to help provide opportunities for our local youth. He was pretty much the catalyst for jump-starting the mock interview program, which has really taken hold in our schools. It gives students an opportunity to participate in a mock interview and prepare them for employment, and he will be missed. He is quite a giant and had a deep baritone voice, but yet had such a gentle way about him. I have fond memories of him moderating many political forums that we had, and he did so much for our community, and I just want to acknowledge him and thank his family for sharing him with us. Thank you.
Councilor Vander Bogaert.
I have nothing tonight, Mr. President.
Councilor Kincaid.
Once again, Holidazzle was a terrific event, and we had a good time getting cold and getting into the shops and buying stuff to eat, and maybe a few Christmas presents. If you haven't done it, go there next year. It's a great event to get out. I did, on a personal note, I went cross-country skiing 3 times this week, and my gratitude to Brian Ramsey and his group who groomed the trail at least once and maybe more. And he also had perfect weather for those of us who like to get out. And so thank you, Brian, wherever you are.
Councilor Lupke.
I want to second what other councilors have said about Holidazzle. Monica and the whole team and staff over there did a tremendous job. Just one of my many stops on Friday night, and just turn the thermostat up next time if you could. I want to speak on behalf of my fellow councilors to the city of Beloit. Our city manager has brought Beloit into the limelight again by being named the president of the League of Wisconsin Municipalities. And it's really an honor to have Larry Arf be in charge, be president of this body for the state of Wisconsin. So again, Beloit's in the spotlight because of our leadership. And that leadership starts right here in Beloit. So thank you, Larry. That's all I have.
Councilor Spreitzer.
Well, not to sound like a broken record, but I also had a fabulous time at Holidazzle, and if anybody hasn't been to the Fine Arts Incubator recently, there was some fabulous art on display. I imagine it still is, so check it out. I hadn't been in a little while, and there's some great paintings on the wall.
Councilor Levy.
Nothing.
And in the interest of brevity, I'll pass myself. Okay, item 10A.
The Visit Beloit presentation regarding their goals, programs, tourism blogs, state presence, and collaborative marketing with the Vision Partners.
Well, thank you for letting me be here tonight. It's a privilege for me to present to you. As I've always said, it's an honor to market the city of Beloit, and we will continue to do that next year. I do have 3 board members here, Jim Vandenbogart, Beth Jacobson, and Heidi Johns, who is the board president. So I want to thank them for their work with our organization as well. Staff is here too. I can't let Matt go by without getting noticed, Matt Bozen, and then I've got Linda Ross and Tara Dunn. So the whole staff's here, and when I talk about we, I talk about the staff and the board. So when I came to visit Beloit in February, my staff will certainly tell you we had 4 clear business objectives, and so we look at these business objectives whenever we start a project, a plan, an event, and even an ad. We look at consistency in our messaging and branding and how we are reflecting the city of Beloit. We look at relevancy, what we do makes an impact in our community and also regionally. And impact, you're going to see us presenting things more in economic impact numbers. So when we talk about meetings and amateur sports events, and you'll be happy to know we've booked a couple that have never been to Beloit before, we're going to reflect that with an economic impact to our community. And last is proof of performance, and that could be how many people saw our ad, how many people are liking us on Facebook, how many people continue to come to our community. So in our reporting, we want to make sure that we're doing our job to let you know exactly where the dollars that are going into our hotel motel tax that comes to us are being spent and used. So I thought I'd talk about 4 quarters and what we focused on. So in the first quarter, we really wanted to reconnect with the State Tourism Office. We want them, as you said, to recognize Beloit as a powerhouse for tourism to the state. And we wanted to connect with our community partners and then make a little splash and create a little chatter. So during National Tourism Week, we kicked off Random Acts of Tourism. We collaborated with all the business owners in our community for coupons and discounts, and we went out throughout the city and in Janesville and other communities and handed those out, inviting people to come to our community and eat, shop, and experience Beloit. We had a conversation ball pit, which was a collaborative effort with the State Line Community Foundation. And if you haven't seen it or been a part of it, have any of you seen it? We've had it at Fridays in the Park. We've had it at the college, at the Y, all over. And it encourages people to get into the ball pit and create a conversation. There's lots of great questions. At our Welcome Center, our board of directors spent time out there greeting people and getting to know them and to see how we actually run the Welcome Center, which was a very positive thing. And we got a lot of local and state media coverage on this. But the icing on the cake was Visit Beloit received a Trailblazer Award and state recognition for Random Acts of Hospitality and what we called ourselves the Pineapple Brigade. So, again, connecting us with the state and having them take a look at what we're doing down here. Oh, there's our little Photoshop photo that we have about our Trailblazer Award. So during the second quarter, we wanted to really work on our video, photography, and search engine optimization on the city of Beloit. So with search optimization, we used the blog, and I'll get to that in a minute, but we took a real good look and inventory of the photos we have. Many of them were dated. The clearest things are cars and fashion. So we wanted to make sure that we had pictures that really reflect Beloit today. And also video work, how we represent our city not only to our residents, but to the community. So one of the first things we did is go out and take photography and video, and I'm going to show you a video that reflects our community. We have a partner-specific website, and by that I mean the partners who share space at the Vision Center are able to upload photography, and we will also have all the photography that we've been doing that keeps those photography work intact. So we'll have a great historical preference going forward with all those photography work. We have a photo library and video. So this is the proprietary website where what we'll do is we'll take a photograph and we'll tag it with keywords, and therefore when you go to search for a piece of photography, you'll be able to find it. So if we tag it farmers market, June, produce, you'll be able to pull up those kind of pictures. Or if you're looking for new development, construction, summertime, you'll be able to pull that up. So we've tagged photos, and again, it's proprietary for the partners to use. but we do like to share, so we would share all those photos with everybody. So the next thing we focused on was really getting great stories about our community out on the web. So when you Google Beloit, you see things about restaurants, partnerships, great education, things to do. And so we created a blog, and Larry, if you could pull up the blog. Let's see. Oh, there we go. It isn't as though everybody's sitting at home going, oh my gosh, I have to go to the blog, visit Beloit blog to get the news. So we put together 12 people from our community, 3 high school students who were mentoring, they're in the hospitality program there, all the way to retired individuals, although in Beloit I use the word retired very loosely. No one retires in Beloit. And we put together projects for them to do. For example, go to the city market, buy produce, create a meal, photograph it, and write about it. During Holidazzle, we sent them out to buy a gift and write about it, and then we're going to donate that to the hospital to give to people who are in the hospital over the holidays. Lots of great stories, and what you notice is we get 500 to up to 2,500 hits on these stories. How do we do that? We push it out through our social media. So they've done restaurant reviews, farmer market reviews, attended events, and the Be In It bloggers, we'll click on those. There you go. There's the faces of our bloggers, and they're the ones that are doing this just out of their own love for our community. And I have to tell you, there's a few of them, I mean, they're really getting into this. They're writing lots of great stories. So if you look at Beloit Rising on the right-hand side, we have 2,752 hits. That means almost 3,000 people looked at that particular story. And the rest are 900, 700, 500. Again, search engine optimization. The other component to that was a video. We've been doing video work throughout the whole year, and we'll continue it through next year. And we're hoping to release a 1-minute video every month on our community through social media. I'm going to show you the long version right now. This has been photography work we did really starting second quarter up in, well, we're still doing it. Holidays we were doing it. But Larry, if you can hit it. So that's just an overview of what we've taken. Again, we're going to break it down into 1-minute videos, and we'll continue to do that. And we're hoping to produce 4 like this, longer ones. And you probably recognize some of the people who are in those videos. I know Ruth in our office was dancing in one of them. So in the third quarter, we continued our focus on social media outreach and community engagement. Again, the consistent messaging, but the one thing that we really did that was a little different was co-op advertising. Many of our small business owners can't afford to advertise in the Milwaukee Sentinel, even in summer publications that the state does. So what we did at Visit Beloit was to buy a huge spread of 2 or 3 pages, and then we sold small mini ads to all our business owners, and they put coupons in them, and we had great feedback. And in fact, we were able to generate between $3,500 and $5,000 in new revenue for our organization. So again, looking for ways to keep the funding for programs like that going. The other thing, we had about a 45% increase on our social media following on Facebook, and that was done not with Google Ads or anything like that, but simply by, again, creating stories and opportunities for us to talk about our community. In the fourth quarter, we took a really good look at our sales and sales development, and certainly one of our goals was to hire a sales manager, and we did, in Matt Bozen. The work that he's done and the connections that we continue to make with tournament directors and rights holders are very important. So if you look at the results, they include the Fury Girls Hockey Tournament, Tag 'em Baseball Tournament, Bison Sports Baseball Tournament, a Senior Women's Bowling Tournament, and a Cube Tournament, which is a Swedish game. It's actually a Viking game. It began with the Vikings. They played with skulls and bones. They now have evolved and they play them with sticks. But when all of those come to our community, the financial impact is $178,700. And there's an industry standard that we use for that includes the hotel room, restaurants, and gas. So with those 5 events, and all but one of them has booked, you can know that we're bringing dollars back into your community. So I have there's Matt with the ladies of Visit Beloit, welcoming him and the expertise that he brings to our team. But each one of these individuals contribute to the overall success of Visit Beloit. So I thank you for your time. Are there any questions? You don't even want to know what's coming up?
Councilor Van der Bogart.
I'd like to point out, Monica, that it's good to know that the Vikings have evolved from using skulls and bones
Yes.
to sticks.
Very good.
In Packerland, it's good to know that.
Okay, very good.
Councilor Lupke.
Just thank you and your staff for promoting Beloit in such a very positive way and just making us look as good as we are.
That's what I would say, as good as you are. Thank you all.
Councilor DeForest, did you have anything you wanted to?
I'd like to
I'm
know.
sorry.
I'd like to know what's coming up. What are some?
Well, we just had our annual board meeting. There was board approval. We're looking at a mobile welcome center where we'll be bringing the welcome center to events within our community. We have a great summer campaign that we're collaborating with the Friends of the Riverfront and the business owners. I'll just tell you one quick little thing. The Ironworks Hotel donated all their doors to us to use for this summer campaign we're going to do. That's all I'm going to tell, because there has to be some fun and secrets for National Tourism Week again.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Move on to item 11, reports from boards and city officers, 11A.
A resolution approving the 2014 contracts between the City of Beloit and Dane County Humane Society, Inc., and authorizing execution thereof.
Good evening.
Captain Tyler.
What you have before you is a dual contract with Dane County under that same resolution for stray, abandoned, and impounded animals. It's simply a reaffirmation of a contract that we signed in January this past year. Staff has reviewed it. We recommend that passes. I know the Dane County agreement is only cost us anything when we actually use the different applications for that contract. We have no regular occurring fees unless we use the services. It's a companion contract with the Rock County agreement because that's some of our regular occurring fees that we have. So Dane County is in existence there to take some of those problem situations or difficult ones that either Rock County is not able to do or they have an overflow situation. And so that's the way we balance that agreement between the local resource in Rock County and the one in Dane County.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? Well, let's go ahead and get a motion to approve first.
Second.
Moved by Lubke, second by Levy. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain Tyler. I have two questions. I'm curious as to why the vet costs were reduced so dramatically.
That was our first year of a contract with Dane County, so we were in a lot of first. So as we evaluated the data that came in and some of the animals that we would take up there under emergency conditions to the Exceptional Care for Animals facility, we started to get a balance on how many animals and the cost for that, and we reached an understanding with Dane County that, consistent with their mission, that they were going to reduce that exposure for us by about 50%, because that is a very large number.
Yeah.
When you take an injured animal up for treatment, and those numbers get very large, and we were just concerned about the financial commitment of the city for that, and they understood and responded appropriately.
Great. Thank you for negotiating that for us. That's wonderful. It's a great cost savings.
No problem.
I did have a question about, because I saw the reference to the euthanasia cost rate. Are you aware of about how many animals were euthanized Dane County that we took there, just out of curiosity?
Well, I can say that euthanasia is a policy issue for all the shelters that they maintain, and that's sort of for them to speak with. It's a contingency that we have in both contracts, so we know that does occur, but it's under their guidelines with their board and their direction. We're required either the 7-day stray or the 10-day hold period, and we have ability to speak to within that time frame. So we do know, as a matter of fact, that when animals come in, if they're not adoptable, if they're potentially dangerous or not adoptable, then that increases the likelihood of euthanization. It's just a simple fact of that's how it works. Both shelters, both Dane and Rock County, do everything within their power, within their mission to try to minimize that number, but those numbers do exist.
Okay. Do you have a rough guesstimate of how many were euthanized or what our costs were related to that rate per animal?
Not specifically here. I know Dane has a small fraction of animals, but we took a lot less animals to Dane County than to Rock County. But I would be uncomfortable speaking as the exact numbers.
Okay.
But there is a number that get euthanized either through lack of adoptability, they're dangerous, potentially dangerous, or court-ordered situations are typically where we see that.
Okay. Maybe you can just get that to me later.
We can do that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Councilor Van Bogart.
It may apply, Captain, to 11B, but has the relatively recent change in personnel at the Rock County Humane Society had an impact on our operations in a positive fashion?
Specific to B, because that's where that'd be mentioned, is there has been significant outreach with their new director. We've had meetings. We're feeling pretty good. We're not ready to go all in yet, so we're making progress. They're trying to mend some fences, and we've thanked them for that. But like I said, with our history, we said, hey, let's see how it goes, and we're taking it little by little.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on item 11A? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0, and now we'll handle 11B.
A resolution approving the 2014-2015 contract between the City of Beloit and Rock County Humane Society, Inc., and authorizing execution thereof.
Captain Tyler.
The uniqueness of this contract is it's a 2-year contract. Last year was our first contract with Rock County under those terms and conditions. We have reached a 2-year contract, 2014 and 2015, with Rock County Humane Society. We've had extended outreach with the new executive director. He's made some good strides to mend some wounded fences. And we thank him for that. We reached an agreement, at least for proposal and consideration, of a $95,000 per year contract for all animals brought to there from the city of Beloit. It expanded some of their service, some of their hours, especially the after-hours drop-off, which was not accessible to us previously. So we assessed a value to that number, and that's why we came up with the $95,000 for 14 and then a 3% increase in 2015. That sort of locks us into a defined number for that 2-year period of time, which we felt was in the benefit of the city to move forward with that recommendation.
Thank you. Do we have a move Van Bogart, second by Lubke. Do we have any questions or comments on item 11B? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Item 11C.
Thank you.
A resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from the General Fund Contingency Reserve Fund for 2013.
Mr. York.
Good evening. As most of you who've been on the council for a while realize, first of all, we're coming close to the end of our fiscal year. Since this is the last meeting of the year. And each year we review our general fund operating budget to evaluate whether we have any departments who are in a budget situation where they may exceed their annual budget for the year. And as you know, we do provide for that through a contingency account that we set up each year as part of our general fund budget. And for the current year, we had set aside $200,000 contingency fund in the general fund, for unanticipated expenditures that occur throughout the year. And we did have two departments in reviewing their budgets for the year. We feel like that they most likely will exceed the amount that was originally budgeted, that being the city attorney's department and the fire department. And we're requesting that the council authorize the transfer of funds from the contingency account to those two departments. The city attorney, they exceeded their legal services budget for the year. We did have some unanticipated cases that occurred. There were a couple of tax appeals cases that we had, and there was also some legal work associated with the town of Turtle boundary adjustment that we had concluded just recently. So we're asking that $50,000 be transferred from the contingency account to cover those unexpected expenditures. And the same with the fire department. We had some unanticipated legal expenses that occurred in the fire department, primarily to cover the costs of the fire grievance that we had this year on the deferred salary adjustment. And we also had some unanticipated overtime expenses in fire. And we're requesting that $118,595 be transferred from the contingency account to the fire department to cover those unexpected expenses. So with that, if you have any specific questions regarding this, I'll be glad to try to answer those.
First, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Moved by Spreitzer.
Second.
Second by Levy. Councilor Spreitzer.
Two questions. Can you give us a sense of the reason for the exceeding the overtime in the fire department, or if you can't, can the fire chief give us a sense of that?
I'll defer to Brad on that. I don't know the exact reason, but I'll let him address that question.
At one point in time, we had 11 employees with family medical leave, workers' compensation, or extended sick leave. That's the basis of the explanation there.
Thank you. And my second question, and I asked this upstairs at agenda review regarding snow removal, that given that we were almost depleted the budget last spring and obviously have had some snow this fall, or winter, we're getting close to running out of that budget. If we do have more snow between now and the end of the year that would cause us to exceed that, do we need to come back and do anything in the new year, or are we covered on that front?
We looked at the Public Works Department overall as a total, and it appeared to me that there should be sufficient funds within the department to cover the overrun of the snow removal budget for this year.
Thank you.
Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. What percentage or amount of that 118,000 is legal costs associated with the hiring grievance versus overtime? Because they're lumped together.
If you look at the resolution itself, we're requesting $85,000 to be used to cover the legal expense costs, and the overtime is $33,595. And of the 85 for legal expenses, Approximately 60,000 of that, I believe, is associated with the grievance.
About 65,000 is
Yeah.
related to the grievance. The rest of it was for other legal expenses.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, we have a motion second. No further questions or comments. Call the matter. All in favor of approving 11C, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Finally, 11D.
A resolution declaring doubtful accounts, authorizing amounts to be written off, and receiving and filing the 2013 report of the comptroller.
Mr. York.
This is another sort of housekeeping matter that we generally do at the end of the year. We did have one account that was in our accounts receivable that is considered uncollectible, and it was for work that was associated with utility service connections for the O'Reilly Auto Parts store on Milwaukee Road that I think it was about 3-4 years ago when that work was completed. That after the work was done by the city, the contractor was billed, and subsequently the contractor filed bankruptcy. So the collectability of this particular debt is really tied up in the bankruptcy court. So there's no further action the city can take to try to collect this. So our recommendation is to go ahead and write this off as uncollectible.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve? Moved by Van de Bogart.
Second.
Second by Spreitzer. Do we have any questions or comments on this one? All right, Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. I have a question that I have to admit, just as a layperson, I don't understand. How is the debt incurred? So we provided what service, or I don't understand how the debt was incurred.
This was to provide the utility connections, the water connections to serve that new construction of the O'Reilly Auto Supply store on Milwaukee Road. The city did the work. We billed the contractor, for the work that was performed.
Mm-hmm.
Contractor didn't pay the bill and subsequently filed bankruptcy, so we have no means at this point to collect the debt.
And forgive my ignorance in terms of our procedure, but we don't typically require that in advance of us doing the work?
You'll have to ask the utilities department on that.
Okay. I just don't want us to get burned again. This does not seem like a wise...
That's the way it should work.
Seems like we should require some kind of payment up front before...
I agree, 100%.
So maybe, Greg, we could talk. All right, thank you.
Councilor Lupke.
Mr. Eric, is there a chance or possibility that through bankruptcy court we could get part or some of this in the future? Or it's hard to say.
I'd say your chances are extremely remote to get any kind of collection through bankruptcy. Most likely the contractor has no assets, so it would. And I'm sure if we were bankrupt on our debt, there's probably other debtors out there that are also in the same position that we're in.
Thank you.
And this is an unsecured debt, so most likely there's no way that you're going to make any type of collection on this through the bankruptcy court.
All right, do you have any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor of approving item 11D, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Item 12.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Spreitzer. Second by DeForest. No one wanted to make that motion. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Good job.